All right. Welcome to the Jam Room Podcast, hosted at the Jam Room Recording Studio here in beautiful Columbia, South Carolina. I'm Sam. This is Illia. Our guest today, Carlin Thompson. How we doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for being here. Carlin's a booking agent for New Brookland Tavern, as well as live sound engineer. Oh boy,
Carlin, it's only weird if you make it weird.
Yeah,
No.
really
It's just I don't do stuff like this, and I'm such a cut and dry, just like so monotone person that it's just
Hey, it's okay, man.
Yeah.
This is your platform. You can air all the. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Man. Well, Carlin.
Just having a conversation.
Oh yeah. How's the move to 5 points going? What have been some challenges with that? What have been some cool victories?
I mean, it's going. We have a pretty enormous amount of work ahead of us to make everything where it needs to be. I don't see the new spot being 100% where it needs to be for at least probably 6 months to a year. So the building that we took over Cotton Gin, it just needed a lot of work, needed a lot of cleaning, everything from the get-go. Whole venue room needs just a lot of new electrical. We had to have a lot of stuff put into the stage for just stage power, just multiple circuits for everything, just different circuits for all the lighting. There's a bar that has to get torn out up there. It just lots of stuff. We can't. It's impossible to do everything within a month. So we're kind of just doing all the immediate necessities, and then just kind of going for it. And we're just gonna do it little by little. Biggest issue is just funding. It's this whole thing was kind of sprung on us a little last minute, and believe it or not, venues are not made of money. It's a lot of people think that we should have had this huge backup savings ready to go, which is that's not the case. Running a music venue, you sometimes can either lose a lot of money on shows if they don't perform well. Everybody South Carolina wise is struggling with the whole liquor liability thing. I don't know if you know about that, but it's we're paying triple what we were paying 5 years ago.
It's crazy.
So it's just there's a lot of costs that go into it, and with this being sprung on us back in July or August, we only had a few months to kind of raise as much as possible to make it work. And then the Cotton Gin building is also it's triple the size of the current New Brooklyn. So, rent is pretty high. All the utilities, everything are pretty exponentially high. But it's getting there. We're making it work. However, we're trying to, just kind of take it little by little and just wait it out.
Sure.
So.
Yeah.
What have been the biggest structural changes to the the physical space that you guys have had to make since moving in?
So with the Cotton Gin building, a lot of people ask us how's it going to work show wise? So there's 2 floors. There's technically a middle floor, but it's not really that much higher than the first floor. So what it'll be is if you're facing the building, there's a staircase to the right. That will be where people who are going to the show will enter through there. So you can show up to the front. There'll be a box office window, get your ticket or check in. We will probably at some point start wanding people. So we'll have a line set up for you to get wanded. You have to get your ID scanned. That's just a 5 points thing that they're trying to implement, is where everybody's got to get their ID scanned if they're drinking. So you'll go directly upstairs. Upstairs is the only spot that you have to pay for unless it's something so special that we're going to charge to go in the bars downstairs. The whole concept is we're trying to make the 2 downstairs bars 21 plus only and free all the time. So that way we can have bar regulars 7 days a week. We're looking at trying to do more for the downstairs bar specifically, just more normal hours, 12 p.m. to 2 a.m. type things. You can show up and get food and eat, have a few drinks before a show.
Cool.
So if you do show up early, you can chill in the bar, pregame for however long, and then whenever doors open for the show, you can just go up, just go get your ID scanned, check your ticket in, get wanded, go upstairs. You'll probably actually already get wanded because I think we're going to wand for like the whole building, just for like safety purposes of like the area. So downstairs, there's 2 bars down there. There's like a patio for smoking. Those will all kind of be like their own thing during the show. So like everything show-wise will be upstairs, like merch. Bands will, for the time being, probably load in through the front or back staircase, which is like the biggest challenge with this whole thing is having a venue upstairs.
Yeah.
There was no like, there's no way really around it. There was no way to make the venue work downstairs logistically, especially in the time frame that we had. While it's like the upstairs was already kind of like, there was already a stage built. You know, there's like higher ceilings, there's like truss in the ceilings and stuff for like hanging shit. And so like future plans, we're trying to like plan out a big like construction build where we will add like a like 2-tier like ramp to platform type thing on the left side of the building above the patio, so that it can be more handicap accessible. We want to try to make it as like ADA like standard as possible. That will also make it to where like if you show up to like, you know, if your band shows up to play a show there, you're literally just like wheeling your stuff up to you know 2 ramps and like into the building. So that'll make it, you know, much easier. It's just that's a very expensive build. We initially looked at doing like a service lift, but there's a lot of points that got brought up about like trying to add like an elevator type thing in the building, you know, if it breaks down in the middle of a show, whatever else.
Yeah.
And cost wise, it would be kind of about the same in the long-term scheme.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We don't really know yet. It's like this entire thing we literally have to play like by ear on like a weekly basis of like, you know, what can we do? What can we afford? What are we allowed to do? But like in the grand scheme of things, this building is double the capacity of the current New Brookland. It's in a much better area with like triple the amount of walk-through traffic. We should, you know, we are hoping that this all kind of like pays off for like the entire move itself. So
I'm personally like extremely excited to have a super cool, you know, venue within the walking distance of like around 5 Points. Like that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and that's like, that was kind of the thing is like when I found out like probably like June or July from our owner, my clients, that the building was looking at being sold, which like for us, we had just signed a lease for the Attic Lounge next door, which was like the same landlord, and we opened that business as like a huge like we were trying to benefit New Brookland, like provide extra space for like green rooms and everything. Yeah, that's the only reason why we looked at that building. So we signed the lease for that, and then they were like, "Hey, we're selling the New Brookland building," and like we kind of waited a little bit to see if they were serious. And then, like, the day we found out that it was publicly listed, we were like, okay, they're serious. So, like, now we need to, like, move on this. Which, like, some, like, realtor in Columbia, like, posted it before anybody else knew. Mm-hmm. And, like, they were just like, you know, what the fuck is this? Like, why is the New Brooklyn building for sale? Yeah. And I knew the guy directly, and I was just like, hey, can you, like, take that down? We're about to do, like, a big, you know, public announcement on everything. So that's
tough.
I mean, it was pretty random and like not great. I mean, I literally moved to Columbia to work at New Brooklyn and like moved here, was like super broke, lived out of like my Dodge Dakota for a month. It was like November 2017, lived in a truck behind New Brooklyn for a month. Man. And like showered at Flying J gas station. I worked there at Mellow Mushroom. It was like to make it like financially work. But it was just like growing up in Augusta, I'd always heard of New Brooklyn as this like super nostalgic venue. Like they got a lot of good shows and everything. And I was like, yeah, that'd be a cool place to work. And I had some friends that worked there at the time. And they're just, I was like trying to figure out what I wanted to do next. And they're just like, yeah, you should like move to Columbia. We need to hire like somebody at New Brooklyn. So that I just kind of like went for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man. Dang. Yeah. Well, that's a lot. So what are some things that like, I think you've already touched on this, like what are some things that you're the most excited for about like the new space and the new building, and like what are some benefits that people might not immediately see from like the surface?
So with the larger capacity, it'll be easier for us to bring in like bigger shows, which is a plus. Everybody, like back in the day, New Brooklyn used to get a lot of like really great like big bands and stuff like that. At some point down the line, that kind of went downhill, and it wasn't necessarily anything like New Brooklyn had its issues as to why that might have happened, like on their end, but realistically, for national touring bands, there's not a whole lot of money to be made in a 250 cap venue unless you're paying like charging like $25 a ticket.
Yeah,
which even still like for a band that's touring in like a bus or a bandwagon, which I don't know if you know what a bandwagon is, but it's basically just like a smaller bus where you don't have to have like a specific license to drive it. But there's just not a whole lot of like money to be made.
Yeah.
So and that's not just for the bands too. That's also for people like internally, like promoters, like sound people and stuff like that. We want everybody to be paid appropriately. For this if this is their full-time job, like they need to be paid like a livable wage. So bigger capacity, 3 bars, there should be a lot of money coming in, which will help us book, more consistently on like the national touring front. The area that we're moving to, like one of my favorite things about it is that because of the walk-through traffic, there should never be a reason for there to be like less than 100 people there watching a show.
Yeah.
So like,
that's awesome.
For like local bands who have no idea how to market anything, they have no draw or whatever, this will be a bigger chance for them to grow. And, with that, it's now like when that happens, I don't want bands to like, get lazier and be like, oh, we don't have to post anything now.
Sure.
They just always have people there.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's not how it works. You need you have to develop yourselves online. It's literally in 2020, we're in 2023. If you are not building yourself online, you're not doing yourself justice.
Sure.
And so that's kind of my thing with Dare is that I don't know if anybody's ever been to a show, whether it's a national show or a local show, where there's like less than 10 people there or less than 5 people there. It is literally one of the most miserable experiences you will ever go through.
Yeah.
It's just, it's depressing on a promoter's aspect because they're probably losing money. It's depressing on like the sound guys aspect because they're just like, damn, I still have to mix these bands for 5 people.
Yeah.
It's miserable on the band's aspect, if they're touring, because they're just like, wow, we're literally about to play a show for 5 people.
Mm-hmm.
And like, to some bands, that's like the most they've ever played to out of town. That's the struggle. But like with the spot, with the new spot, it should be just better for everybody on all fronts.
That's awesome.
Or at least we hope so. We don't know yet because we're not, we haven't even had our first show yet.
Yeah.
And that's the scary part is that like this entire transition is taking place in like the worst time of the year. Like December through February is historically just awful for music venues. It's the slowest time. It's cold. Nobody wants to go do anything. Everybody's broke from the holidays. And so it's just like everything lined up in like the worst ways possible for us.
Yeah.
And we're just gonna like struggle through it and just figure it out.
Well, and I feel like you guys have like a ton of community support like around the, or at least it seems that way from like the GoFundMe and like from people's reaction online and stuff. I don't know if that's...
We did. I mean, we had like I don't know if you know who like Frank Turner is, but like Frank Turner, like he reposted stuff about it. We had a bunch of like guys from like other bigger bands posting stuff about it.
Yeah.
We had a show earlier this year for a band that used to play like New Brooklyn a lot back in like the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And like they specifically played this show based on like they had another thing cancel, and they're just like, well, let's go play like New Brooklyn one last time, which was really cool to see. Like New Brooklyn, and that was like one of the things why I wanted to move here is because like New Brooklyn just has a lot of like deep lore that, of like people connected to it. Now, like at the same time, like a lot of those people grew up, they moved on to bigger things. Like while they have a lot of love for New Brooklyn, they didn't always like feel the necessity to like go out of their way to please New Brooklyn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we didn't expect them to ever.
Yeah.
We didn't expect the GoFundMe to even do what it did.
Sure.
We had people who like actually gave us shit for doing a GoFundMe. They're like, wow, I can't believe you're like crowdfunding your bar moving across the river. And we're just like, wow, I can't believe like that you even care about this, because this literally has nothing to do with you. But it's just like, you know, we posted it to see what it would do. It did great. We got way more than what we thought we were going to. Like, no, we didn't initially, like, we didn't reach our goal. But the goal was, like, we didn't even know, like, realistically, if that goal was, like, what we were even trying to do. We based the goal on if we wanted to buy the current location, right? The current location was being sold for $750,000, which, in my opinion, was exponentially way above what they should be asking, because the building's in terrible condition.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like, I would not be surprised if, like, in 10 years, if that building just, like, collapses. Yeah. That's just where it's at.
It's rough.
Which, you know, it's kind of like a blessing in disguise for us to be able to, like, go ahead and, like, move now. But it's just, like, $750,000 for that building. Like, while I understand the history behind it, it's not worth that much. They did end up selling it for like $400,000 or something like that, or $450,000 or something. You can find it online. Someone found it for us and showed us. Man. Which, like, that also kind of sucked too, because, like, you know, had we known that it would have been available for that much, we probably could have bought the building. I'm specifically glad that we did not. Yeah. Just because the way that area is growing, it's not. I think it's growing in like a good manner for some people, not for an all ages music venue that has like metal shows and stuff like that.
Yeah,
definitely.
It's just not, you know, there's like, we're having severe parking issues there. You know, it's difficult for bands to get parked and not like be blocking the parking lot. Which, like, everybody, that was like one of the biggest complaints about us moving to 5 Points, is like, oh my God, like, there's no parking down there. Okay, well, like, I'm sorry, your ass has to walk like 2 blocks somewhere. Like, get the fuck up and like walk your ass down the street. Sure. There's literally a parking lot. If you are facing the Cotton Gin around the block around Jake's, there's a new city-owned parking lot that's like 100 spaces. There's a ton of room. There's all the like meter spots throughout all of 5 Points that they don't even charge after 6 o'clock. There's behind Groucho's.
They opened up like a bunch of lots over there, didn't they?
Yeah. There's a lot. It's just people, because of how things are now, people are like, they don't want to do anything. Yeah. They want to do, it's like they want to do everything and literally nothing at the exact same time. I know that sounds stupid, but it's just like, if they're like, oh, I can go to the show, oh wait, I have to walk a few blocks to get there, I don't want to do it. Yeah. But then they're like, if there's a show they want to go to in like Atlanta, it's the same thing.
Yeah. Plus a 6 hour round trip.
So, 6 hour round trip, probably like $50 in parking fees. Yeah. And like, you know,
however much you spend on tickets.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it's just like, what is so different about that in Columbia? You know, yes, I know it's a smaller city, but it's just like, if you have to park a few blocks away, it's okay. Yeah. Like, we
get
all,
steps
you know, exactly. We all, like, I'm 31, bro. Like, I gotta walk. So like, you know, I gotta get my steps in.
That's also, I feel like, something that I've definitely heard people talk about in Columbia is like, oh, like we want it to be more walkable. It's like, there are certain places where we can walk.
Yes.
So
they just don't. It's like, you could literally like put a sidewalk in front of some people, and they're just like, I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. Yeah. And it's just, I don't like.
It's funny.
I have this weird like theory that like, I don't know how like the education system is in South Carolina, but like, when it comes to people driving or walking, there is like some sort of disconnect on, they just like don't know what they're doing. Like if you drive from Columbia into Lexington, it is like the most miserable experience of That's people driving like 30 miles below the speed limit, and they don't know. They like, That's a great point. You know, just like stopping in the middle of the road for nothing, no blinker or anything. And it's like the same with walking. I don't know if you've ever been to like the market on Main Street on Saturdays, but it's like, it's just like a field of people who don't know like how to walk. I mean, I know like I walk very aggressively. I'm like, I make spans for a living. I have to be able to get to one place from another in a very short time. But it's just like, if you like walk behind people in Columbia, I don't know what it is. It's just, they're like so clueless sometimes. I'm like, they're just like wandering around, just like looking everywhere.
I have kind of noticed that, for being honest. Love Soda City, love Columbia.
I like the market's like one of my favorite things. Yeah. But it's just wonderful. Like, oh my God, I will be running circles around people sometimes. Like,
Sure.
I want my pulled pork and grits. Get out the way.
Yeah.
Why are you walking so slow?
You're both walk with purpose people.
We walk.
Though.
I know.
Yeah.
We're like fucking Naruto characters.
Yeah.
I hate to admit that I'm a little bit more of a wanderer, but
Yeah.
It's okay to wander. Like
dilly-dallyer.
I like I'm 100% like dilly dally all you want, but like just keep in mind there's other people behind you.
Yeah.
That's it.
fair.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
If I go to Target and I'm trying to get something off the shelf and you're just like staring at an item for 5 minutes, I'm gonna walk in front of you and just grab it because I can't wait on you. I'm sorry. So that's just
that's fair.
Sure. Okay, so 2 questions. What can people in Columbia do to support New Brookland, like through the move, and like maybe some ways that you wouldn't really think about, and then also, well, let's do that question first. Yeah, what are some ways that like maybe less than obvious that like people can support New Brookland as they kind of transition into 5 Points?
I mean, best way to support any local business in general is just going there and just buying stuff. Buy a Coke, a beer, a shot. It doesn't anything, whatever you can afford. Like don't go out of your way to like if you're struggling on bills, like we don't expect you to do anything. You have to be able to take care of yourself first. One of my biggest pet peeves are guest lists. Like one of my biggest irritations is the amount of people that I've seen who will vocalize, support your local venue, support your local artist, do this, and this, and then they are one of the most like one of the worst guest lists like repeat offenders, where they will be on the guest list like every single week on some. I'll keep like a mental like note of like, have I seen that person pay to come into this show ever? And I will like you'll see them pay like once in like 6 months.
Sure.
Which is like, I understand like you want like bands want to look cool to their friends and stuff like that and be like, yeah, we can put you on the guest list, or like, if they're if they think that they are entitled for some way, like they think that there's somebody special and that they should be guest listed. I don't know. Sorry. Smoker's off.
Good.
She said good.
No, say you're good. Don't worry about it. We'll edit it out. Thanks, Zach.
I mean, you don't have to. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, if you truly want to support anything local, just pay to go in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While I will give out guest list spots to people sometimes, like, if I have a friend that I know is struggling to do anything and they just need a minute to like get out and go, if there's a band that they really like coming through, and I know they can't afford it, I will guest list them.
Sure.
If we have somebody, there's this dude named Kevin, shout out Kevin, you know who you are, who has literally been to almost every single show we've had since the COVID shutdown.
Man.
He's literally just there all the time. I don't even know what he does for a living, but he is at so many shows. And he doesn't really like hang out with anybody. He just kind of comes to the show, watches the bands, like takes a few videos, and like that's it. I don't even think he drinks. But he buys a ticket like every single
awesome.
show. He's like
Super
my
cool.
age too. He's like he's pretty like he's not old, but he's there all the time. And so like sometimes we'll see him like wander in, and like I usually know whether or not he has a ticket because I have like the ticketing service on my phone, and like. If I know he doesn't have a ticket yet, sometimes they'll just be like, just let him in. The other day, I actually gave him like a 3-month, just like long-term guest list thing, because I accidentally ordered my food from the Dragon Room to be picked up, and it was $50 worth of food, and I was like, I can't go get this food right now. I'm mixing a show, and I was like, Kevin, if you go do this for me, you get free shows for 3 months. Oh my God. And he was like, that doesn't really seem. Like, I'm just going to pick up your food. Like, that's not that big of a deal. And I was like, Kevin, just do it. Just, you don't understand. You're doing me a favor. But, like, he is just so supportive of paying for shows. Like, that's how he is.
Yeah.
Whereas I'll see people in, like, their friends, somebody in their friend group there'll be, like, a few shows, like, a few weeks in a row where somebody in that friend group has a show at New Brookland or whatever venue, anywhere. It's all pretty much the same. And it's like the same people will be on the guest list like every single week.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, why? Like, and then I find out it's even more frustrating when you find out these are like people who have like rich parents. Like, I'm sorry, like if you did not struggle growing up, like just ask your parents for $20. Like if your parents are literally like taking you on like vacation, someone's probably gonna think that I'm like directing this. This is not directed towards anybody, but like, you know, if I see you going out of town on vacation like every other month, and I see you on the guest list more than 3 times in like a 6-month time frame, I'm gonna hate you internally. I will still talk to you. I'll still be your friend, but internally, I'm gonna think you are like just a conniving piece of shit. Like you just pay. It's $10, dude.
Yeah.
Just pay the $10.
Yeah, and it's like $10. Like that's really clearly going to like invest in like local culture and local music and like artists and like.
Sorry for going on like a little bit of rant. It's just like guestless stuff. It irks me.
Sure.
Like if you think about it, we don't take anything from local shows other than what it costs to pay the person running sound. We don't take anything for like staffing or security or anything like that. That all just we make that come from the bar. We'll take
That's cool.
well, yeah, we'll take like now if we have a show where there's like marketing costs, like us like running ads and stuff, we will take that because that is a higher cost. But like your most basic local show, it's like on average just $100 for the sound person probably. And that's it. That's at, you know, a lot of venues in general. So it's like that full ticket sale is almost going to the bands directly. And, you know, we give them the option, whoever we set the show up with, we give them the option of how they want to split it with everybody. And a lot of times they'll do it evenly. So, like, if you are a local band and you are putting 6 people down on the guest list and you have, which this is another thing, everybody knows New Brookland's known for asking who you came to see at the door. We do keep a spreadsheet of that on like our Google Drive shit where like we can go back and see who so-and-so drew this many people, you know, 8 years ago. So it's like if you have a 4-band lineup and the first band on the lineup has 5 or 6 people guest listed, they draw 3 people at the door. Do I think you should be paid equally as the headliner who used 2 guest list spots and drew 60 people?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I think you are actually taking away from this entire thing.
Sure.
And you have now, what's that thing from Billy Madison? You have now wasted our time, and we are all dumber because of you. Whatever it is.
That's funny.
You know, and it's just like, I think sometimes they don't understand that. And so I try to educate them. I will tell people when I go to settle with them at the end of the night, like, hey, just a heads up, y'all drew 3 or 4 people, you know, this is what I would do to work on your draw. Also, in the future, maybe don't use all, like, you get 1 guest list spot per member. You don't have to use that. Like,
yeah. Cool. Sure. Well, thanks for returning after that ad break. If we find sponsorships in the next 7 days, probably not, but that'd be pretty cool if somebody wants to sponsor us.
Again, any local businesses or something.
I spent a lot of money at Zaxby's, and I tagged them repeatedly, asking for sponsorships.
Yeah.
I will DoorDash an entire basket of toast.
Wow. Man.
6-finger plate, no slaw, extra toast again, and I'll just be eating toast.
Dang.
That's good toast,
Zaxby's, if you want to sponsor us, we'd appreciate that.
Send us some toast.
Yeah.
Send Carlin specifically some toast.
You have to treat yourself.
That's true.
Yeah.
If you are not getting at least 1 treat a day, you're not living.
Oh, you're speaking my language.
That's a great point.
I love a treat, man.
I got a treat on the way here, and that's like...
What'd you get? If you don't mind me asking.
Someone's phone's vibrating.
I think it's mine in there. Okay, it's fine.
It's fine. I got some like hot chocolate thing from the Hideout and a cherry and cheese Danish.
Oh wow,
from the Hideout.
That's sick.
That sounds so good.
Okay,
Shout out the Hideout. Back
to the content at hand. Carlin, what?
For content.
Yeah, we're all about content here. Content machine.
Content like that is like a thing. Like, sorry, another rant coming. Just what were you gonna ask?
Well, I mean, you'll probably get a chance in this question. What could people do to like market their shows better, have better shows, have more successful shows, and then kind of help the shows sort of build their like artistry up more? Like what could people do from what you've observed and learned?
So all right, so like a lot of people think that like being a promoter, that their job is literally just to like say yes to a lineup and just go for it. That's not true. booking shows is basically, there's like kind of a few different ways to look at it. You can look at it as like glorified gambling, but it is also, I consider it more of like you are a salesperson of shows. Like you are taking, you know, a lineup that is the car that you're selling, and you are trying to sell it to people that you don't necessarily know. So with social media nowadays, you know, this is like going back to like even like the MySpace days when I was growing up and playing in like just local bands when I was like 14 years old or whatever. You know, we had like, I don't know if y'all had, I don't know how old y'all are. I don't know if y'all
Not
had
in
MySpace
MySpace era.
Yeah,
Wow.
no.
Yeah.
You missed an era. You had bulletins, which were like your version of like Facebook statuses. And so, you know, you have to push stuff online to reach people that you don't know. A good way to think about it is like, someone explained this to me once, is that like, you know, like the like space, like arcade games where you're like firing stuff at like the asteroids or whatever. So the asteroids are like the people you're trying to reach, and you're firing content at them like repetitively. So like, you know, the most current thing right now is TikTok. TikTok, while some people like hate it, TikTok is one of the best platforms right now for artists. I do think there's a little bit of a disconnect with people who get popular off of TikTok as to whether or not like those people actually like listen to their music, because it's such a short. It's a platform with like short time frames on like videos and stuff like that. So they might like reshare this 30-second clip of your song a million times. Does that translate all the time to them listening to the full song? Not necessarily. You do make people, like, you do make fans off of it, just not all of them. So like, you know, right now you've got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. That's pretty much like the go-to. Like, do I think bands need to have Snapchat? No, that's weird.
Yeah.
You know,
Great point.
like your main priorities for the most part, in my opinion, should be Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. That's it. That's like the main thing you need to worry about. Twitter, like, why do I suggest that one? People think like Twitter's like a dead platform, nobody uses it.
X.
That's actually not true. Oh yeah, sorry, X. I hate that they changed it to X. It makes me feel like it's something else. I'm gonna refer to it as Twitter just because Twitter is, or X is actually a very popular platform for artists specifically connecting to each other. Not a lot of people know that, but I've like made more friends in like the touring world through Twitter than I have anywhere else, even like in person. You know, there's like a bunch of like touring like sound people that I know that we've literally just become friends off of Twitter alone, just from shit posting and like just posting stupid stuff on Twitter. You know, like making fun of amps and whatever else. I posted something last night that was like a shitty line 6 amp, and I was just like, dudes will see this and say hell yeah, and you know, other people saw it and
Spider
laughed.
G4.
It was a Spider amp.
Nice. Classic.
So like Twitter, like if you want to make like more like band friends, Twitter, you know, use that for that. You can make normal fans on Twitter, but like if you are trying to get into the touring world, Twitter is a good platform for that. Facebook is like, in my opinion, kind of on its way out. It's become a very like, it's a popular platform, but it's like not for people in like the arts community. Facebook, you have to like know how to work the algorithm, what will catch as far as like the reach and everything for it. You can very easily get flagged on there, and like whenever you get flagged for something that's like that they don't like, it will dwindle your reach down. But with Facebook, it's also very like cohesive with Instagram because they're both like meta-owned platforms. So like you need to just have both. They also, Facebook kind of pushed the whole like paid ad service, you know, back in like 2012, 2013 or whatever. It wasn't that great back then. It's much better now. It can be very costly, but it is like one of the best tools at your disposal. Now I will say, like, if you get into that realm of marketing, you need to know what you're doing, or else you will blow through a lot of money. Now your Facebook will also like connect with your Instagram account and stuff like that, so you can like, you know, make your posts at the same time or whatever. Instagram is great because it works very well for like anything like artsy, like posting photos and stuff. Like it's great for like photographers, you know, bands posting content. They also, like with the Reels service, it's pretty much like TikTok, but like the Instagram version. It's the same shit. Like, you know, you just, if you are in the studio, just post 30-second clip of you recording on the Instagram Reels, and you know, it will push to the appropriate crowd, and in return you'll gain more fans off of it. And so, like, one of my pet peeves with local artists in Columbia is that there's such a lack of like social media presence from them. No matter how many times you tell them that they need to like progress their social media, it just doesn't happen. Now with social media stuff, like it helps you venture outside of like the Columbia world. Bands in South Carolina specifically, it's like one of their biggest struggles is venturing outside of South Carolina. You know, they don't really have fans elsewhere. You know, yes, your Spotify Wrapped might say that you were played in 139 countries, but I really doubt you were.
Yeah.
You know, like if you were, great. But, you know, is that like translating to like a long-term thing? Like, are you holding those listeners long-term? Or did you just get some of those listeners from, you know, paying for fake streams or something like that? That actually is like a common thing. But so like with Instagram, you have it at your disposal to build followers, you know, from wherever you want in the world. And another thing is like connecting with those followers. Like, you know, yes, you should respond to some of their comments sometimes. Post like a story that's like interactive with other people. You know, like they made the whole co-host thing so that you can like, whenever you post a lineup, you can co-host, request it with everybody who's on the lineup and the venue and the promoter and whatever else. And it all pushes their audience to your stuff as well.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, you will see a band. All right. So if you take a 2-month time frame, this is just like an on average, like how things roll and like with like booking a show, like locally. If you book a show, you should set an announce date. Like when are we going to announce the show? All at the same time, preferably between the hours of 10 a.m. and like 3 p.m.
Interesting.
At the absolute latest. You know, don't post the show at 9 o'clock at night, because you're not doing anybody a favor doing that. That's irresponsible. You have to come up with an announce date. You can either go on sale at the same time, or you can push the on sale to go on sale at a different time.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes the latter will build more hype. It kind of comes and goes. There's like different people do it differently.
Yeah.
Just depends on who it is. You know, everybody announces at the same time. When you do that, like tagging each other, it's all going to drive those audiences to each other's pages and everything, which in return, it's like, as it drives the audience to it, it pushes the content and like the algorithm so that it will have a higher reach. That's why you'll see some people will have like 20 likes versus, you know, New Brooklyn sometimes will have like 500 to like 1,000 or something like that. So, you know, you want to push that stuff. You want to announce it all at the same time or something, and like it all kind of benefits each other. One of the most irritable things in that 2-month time frame is when a band will announce a show, they will not speak another word of that show for that entire 2 months until like the day before or the day of. And even still, they still won't really even say, like, they won't post anything really like the day of or the day before. They'll like share their story, be like, oh, we have this tonight. And like people are like, well, what the fuck? Like, we didn't even know that you were doing that.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, whenever I book a tour, like a national touring show, what I do is like I come up with like a marketing plan of like time frames or like phases. and it'll be like this date to this date I'm going to do this, and then this date to this date I'm going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Like split it up into different phases of like what you're going to push. Am I saying you should post the same flyer 8 times in that 2-month period? Absolutely not. That is not good social media marketing. You can push like band promo pictures, static images run very well in the algorithm. Just post a live photo of you doing whatever you're doing on stage, and put the content, like put the point across in the caption, and people will see it. Post a reel, something. It could be something stupid, or it could be a clip of your last show. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
As long as it's something that will grab their attention, you can post it, and then, hey, we're playing a show on this date, blah blah blah. So like, now, am I saying do this every single day? No, you don't want to beat a dead horse. Like, you want to space it out enough to where people are like, you're constantly like keeping their attention grabbed. And that's a good way to like benefit the show, like getting people out to it. That like, if you post about it once and then post about it like the day before the show, you are probably not going to draw anybody. For being real.
That's a great point.
Post like doing the paid ads and stuff. Like, I do a lot of paid ads. Like one of the best things I'm good at is just like paid ad content. I will, when I book a national touring show, like, I'll get the show confirmed and everything, get the announced details. For one of the first things I do is I send them an ad request through like the Meta Business platform, so that I can run ads from their page directly. I can either target the audience that's already following them, or I can target like a larger audience of like people that are like kind of adjacent to their fan base. So say if they, it will hit their fans, but it will also hit fans that might not know who they are, but they might become new fans. And like, so if you ever see an ad running from, say, Sam and Illia band, and like, hey, we're playing New Brookland Tavern on this date, come out, blah, 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 and there's like a ticket link that you can click on, from that, and it should say like sponsored ad. A lot of times that is normally us doing it. Like, there will be bands that will also do it on their own. That's just because they really care about their shit and they want to make sure people are going to be there. Yeah. That's fine too. But yeah, I mean, like, on average for like a national touring show, I have like a marketing, like a paid ad budget of like, it could be like $150, it could be $500. Just depends on what it is. Yeah. Like the Taylor Swift cover shows that we do, I will normally have to spend probably about $300 or $400 in paid ads to reach, the Swifties in the area. Yeah. And like, tickets will sell like consistently. Emo night, same thing. When I book, because I do emo night in South Carolina. It's the same shit. I'll put together lineup for emo night or whatever. It could be just a DJ, it could be bands covering stuff, and I can literally just target like, Pierce Seville fans, the Used fans, Mike McRomance fans, people who actually know what real emo music is and stuff like that. And like, sorry, cool. That's just like, the never-ending troll of like what real emo is. Oh yeah.
Cool. Well, I might have to stop you there. I think we're running time. Am I right, Zach? Yeah. Do we time for the last question, or should we? Okay, real quick. Okay. I'm gonna fire 3 off. Okay. Favorite local coffee shop.
You're taking this from me?
Oh, I'm sorry. Illia asked the question. It's my bad.
This is Illia's questions. And I reframed it because of you and a Facebook post that you made where you were like, where if you had like a band, like friends coming into town, like where are you taking them? Like, what do y'all do? Okay, yeah. So what if you had a band in town, or like you did, I know, have a band that was in town that wanted to do stuff in Columbia? What did you do? What were your favorites? Where do you go for a little treat?
I actually did not hang out with them. They were just in town early. But I did tell them places to go. All right, so favorite coffee shops. If I'm at New Brooklyn, I would go to the Hideout. If the Hideout's open. If the Hideout is not open and I'm not at New Brooklyn, I will go to Drip. I like Drip. Drip's good. Unfortunately, there's not a very like large abundance of local coffee shops open after 6 p.m. in the West Columbia area. So I will unfortunately have to go to Starbucks sometimes. But yeah, coffee. What was the next one?
Where's your favorite place to get some food?
Dragon Room is great. Alex Strickland is very good at what he does. They do like late night menu, so I will always tell bands like late night, like go to the Dragon Room. For either that or like Palmetto Pig.
What do you get specifically at the Dragon Room, real quick? Because I've never been there, but
I've been trying to convince him to go.
I normally get ramen, or there's like this. I don't know what it was called, but it's like this little like taco thing that Alex makes. It's like black. It looks like almost like seaweed. That's like fried. I don't know what it is. It's very good. Just say that you want the black taco thing. Okay. Don't know what you're talking about.
Great.
Good deal.
I
Drink.
mean, what was that? Oh yeah, bar. Where's a bar you're gonna go to?
If it's after New Brooklyn hours, most likely bar none.
Classic.
Nice.
Good option.
So.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, thank you, Carlin, for being here with us, sharing a lot of wisdom. Thanks to the Jam Room for having us. Hey, they have a really cool mastering studio here. It's like one of the only ones in town.
Yeah.
If you need your stuff mastered, check that out. It's super cool. Thanks to Zach behind the camera, awesome music producer. We appreciate him for mixing us, mastering us. Hit him up for some mixing, mastering work or recording work. We're Sam and Illia. We play out around Columbia all the time. We actually are the house band, us and a drummer, for the New Brookland Tavern Open Jam on Monday nights. That comes back on the 8th of January. So mark your calendars. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We're actually, it's gonna be a good time. So thank you for listening. Catch us in 2 weeks for the next guest. Have a great day.